So this episode is going to be a little bit different. Whereas normally we're coming to you with some recommendations and things like that. We're still going to give you some recommendations, but these are going to be things that we would never put in our own
We'd recommend you don't put in yours.
Exactly.
Maybe, or maybe not.
A little bit different. You want to start us off?
Yeah, I'm going to start off with one which is counterintuitive, but is coffee systems. I would not put a built-in coffee system. And it's not to say that they do not make a phenomenal cup of coffee. They do, but they have a definite life and death. So there's a predetermined amount of cup cycles, which generally is in the 7,000 to 8,000 cup range, which if you have a few cups of coffee a day, you do the math. That's not all that long. They're generally customized. They're unique in size. And if they ever change, I just always stress about the fact that most times those are in custom cabinetry or some type of cabinetry built in. And I just get nervous of it. We do sell some of that amazing coffee in just countertop models. And I know that's not ideal, but you might be able to get a cabinet or a garage or a way to hide them a bit better. So that would be one that I just personally wouldn't put in mind.
I'm going to start with side-by-side refrigerators and really looking at freestanding, like 36-inch wide side-by-side refrigerators. Really, the main issue with those is the space. And those were certainly the most popular refrigerators kind of way back when, 20 to 25 years ago. French doors have really taken that over where you have the two doors up top because they're so much wider and people do so much more fresh food. If you think about kind of a side-by-side, especially in that kind of that 36-inch standard size width, it's kind of small on both ends. It's really small in the freezer, so you got no width. Frozen pizzas, things like that, really never going to fit in there. And on the refrigerator side, really narrow as well. So platters, if you're entertaining or anything like that, nothing is really going to fit. The one benefit I'll say is it can certainly be easier to organize, especially in the freezer. But I'm always like, well, what are you going to organize? What's actually going to fit in there to be able to organize it? So for me and for how we live, and I know a lot of people, I just think it's not very practical for how we live today for the most part.
Yeah, food's wide, not tall.
Exactly.
That width is important. I want to talk about, now the next thing I would not put in my kitchen is a beverage cooler. Now, I would put a beverage cooler in my home.
Mm-hmm.
I do not love them in the kitchen space because if it's truly beverage, that's a traffic thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
We see them stuck behind an island a lot of times, and that's kind of a hot spot. Though when you're truly entertaining, you do not want people constantly coming into your space. You kind of want to keep them out of the space. So I always challenge people with design to try to keep that beverage cooler outside. Maybe it's a credenza or a space just off the kitchen and the island. A lot of open floor plans, there's living rooms right there. So the idea that people can come in those spaces, come and go and not have to enter behind that traffic area of the island is all I would say. But that's why I just kind of put the beverage cooler not in the kitchen. Just, can we get a creative way to get it out or facing out of the kitchen so they don't come behind my area? I need my area.
Yeah, just move it. Get it out of here.
Okay.
And that's one I'd say is built-in microwave and pull-down door microwave. So really with the built-in microwave, that kind of older look with the trim kit around it, I'd say really that look has pretty much come and gone to this point. And even they're starting to get really not many manufacturers even, or as many manufacturers even make those anymore. And even if you're going to build it into a wall and you have your pull-down microwave, I think there's just much better ways to spend the money. So you could do a few things. If you really use a microwave or you rarely use a microwave and you don't really want to have it kind of pronounced, get a microwave drawer. You can tuck it away in an island or anything like that as well. But what I would say is if you're building that into a wall, spend the small extra money and get a speed oven. It's going to give you way more options. You can actually use it like a real oven. It has convection in it. You can use it just like a microwave, but for not a lot of money difference, really with most brands, you're spending, could be a couple $100 more with most brands. You're really going to get a second oven versus just a microwave there.
Correct. Yeah, and I would tell you, kind of following up on that, albeit not a built-in or a pull down that you have a major issue with. You were passionate about that. I like that. It would be a over-the-range microwave. I mean, that is something, listen, I grew up with them. I have one. I mean, it's not to say that I'm an elitist and not to do it, but I think that there's far better ways to design. And when you think about that over-the-range microwave, think about what you're trying to do. And I get it. Space is an issue. Not everyone has huge kitchens, but you're trying to have it be a light above your stove to kind of show what you're cooking. You want it to be a vent fan of some sort, and you want it to be a reheating vessel generally. You could cook in some of them, but reheating vessel. It does all three of those marginally to average, if not below average. For a fan, it's not great. It's flat on the bottom. It's too low. It's too shallow. So your front pans where you cook every day, smoke just goes right past it. If smoke did hit it, it's not a big capture area. There's nowhere to catch the smoke. So if it doesn't suck it right out of the house, then that just kind of wafts into your house, and they're not very powerful to suck it out of your
Yeah.
house. And then additionally, in terms of a light, the lighting's awful in most microwaves. So it doesn't give you great light. And moreover, when you look across this great new kitchen, you look across it, you have all generally LED, 3000 Kelvin, natural light under cabinet lighting. And then you get to the microwave and it's like, ugh. It just looks like a big gap, and you have probably tile or something back there that you want to show a consistent light. So I don't like it for the lighting. The final part to that is a lot of times people, even if I said I don't love them as a vent, they recirculate the vent. So they don't even vent it outside. And you really should only be doing that if you have a very short run of duct before it terminates the outside of the house. But so that's now the final thing I'd say is, okay, so Dennis, you said that, what do you offer for? I say you always pay. Think about it. You're buying a microwave. You're trying to do all these three things. You also paid for a cabinet above it to mount this microwave to. Cabinets, even on the low end, is probably a $500 to $1,000 cabinet that if we all have them in our house, we don't use them. It's a junk cabinet. It has an electrical outlet up there. There's a lot of things. I think one way to quickly transform the kitchen in a value way is to just, if that's what you're going to do, is get some type of more decorative chimney style hood. You can get a good chimney style hood for, $800 to $1,200. And now you made that space go from kind of drab and dreary and low and all those things. You get good lighting. You get great ventilation potentially. And you get a focal point. Now the challenge is, where do you put the microwave? You could do a microwave draw. You could do a countertop. You could build a cubby underneath there and just sit a basic microwave. So there's ways to challenge that design, but I tell you, that's the thing I'm like, come on, could we go a little bit more?
And even if you had to still recirculate it, you're still get way better capture area and all those other things, like you said. So last one for me here is going to be electric ranges. And really, again, I think electric cooking in general is just so inefficient for what's out there today, specifically with induction, never mind gas. But if you're going electric, certainly induction may require a little bit more amperage depending on kind of the brands and things like that. But if you already have electric or you're considering electric, induction's really an easy, for the most part, replacement to that electric. Induction is going to be way faster, way more efficient, way safer, just really better in every way imaginable, and not going to be a huge price difference. And so induction cooking has come down so much.
Absolutely.
With brands like LG, makes GE. I mean, there's so many brands that made really good, inexpensive induction ranges that there really is no sense to go with electric at this point. You're not really gaining anything or making your installation any easier with electric versus induction.
Yeah, just to be dramatic, but it would almost be like trying to mount an old school tube TV on a wall today, when you could have got a flat screen panel for the same, if not less money. So it's the cost has come down. It's pretty normalized, and it's just an option to consider, and a really good one.
Like this video? Don't forget to like and subscribe. For more appliance tips and updates, follow us at social media at Yale Appliance. Stay informed and inspired. This is Appliance Advisors signing off.